Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be speaking about the 1946 Booker T. Washington Commemorative Half Dollar, going over all of the information about the coin, the history, the backstory, and context in which it was struck, as well as the values based off of different conditions, and then we'll also cover some mint errors and just go over sort of tying it all together at the end. But we'll start here. So this coin was minted from 1946 to 1951, designed by Isaac S. Hathaway as a way to commemorate Booker T. Washington, as well as raise funds to purchase his birthplace. Booker T. Washington was a very prominent American in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He was a leader in the African American community and was a voice of what was called the Black elite. He often would speak with presidents of the United States, advise them, and he was born as a slave. So he was sort of part of the last people in high society to have been born into slavery. The coins were minted from, again, 1946 to 1951, so they had sort of used a strategy that was seen on the Boone, Texas, and Arkansas half dollars, where there was no specification that it would be a one-year coin or that would be struck at one mint. So there was added ability to market the coins to collectors who sought to complete full sets. The mintages after 1946, outside of 1950S and 1951P, all were below 10,000. So while they were a little bit rare at the time, they were well saved, so they're not super rare today. But in terms of the design of the coin, we see Booker T. Washington, as well as the Hall of Fame at New York University, as well as a slave cabin. A little more on Booker T. Washington, though. He, in addition to sort of just being a prominent figure in history, he was a big proponent of African American businesses and entrepreneurship, and advanced the sort of Atlanta Compromise, which called for Black progress through education and entrepreneurship, as opposed to sort of super direct challenges and vocal opposition to things like Jim Crow and segregation. In private, he gave money to support sort of court cases and the direct attacks on it, but he sought more of a compromise where there could be, again, education and advancement sort of by being in the workforce, and was less, maybe controversial as opposed to somebody like W.E.B. Du Bois, who went on to form the NAACP. He also served as a principal and a founding leader of the Tuskegee University, which is in Alabama, is still existing today, but that sort of confirms and shows his focus on education, and he led that university well. The coin, though, however, in terms of the specifications, we'll talk a little bit about the value. They were sold for $1 initially, as well as $1.50 for the Denver coins, and then fluctuated when sort of down the line, as there were much lower mintages, but they were often well saved. Some of them were melted. The mintage is pretty large. It's, I think, the second or third most minted commemorative half dollar, this date being 1,546,000. In AU55, it's only about a $15 coin. Mint state 63, 64, 65, very affordable, and it's a pretty significant coin that I would say it's a good buy, just in the sense of being pretty historic and being very affordable for most collectors. It's really going to start to climb in that 66 to 67 jump, and then mint state 68 is quite rare. People did complain that the striking quality was sort of okay. There were often a lot of abrasions and just wasn't the best striking out there, though it was a complicated design. And in terms of some of the mint errors, these are just things to look for. So here's an obverse lamination in the forehead of Booker T. Often these commemorative half dollars had really high standards to which they were held, so any sort of mint error is normally going to be pretty minor, but still gets a nice premium. Like this one, $160 as opposed to probably like $30 in mint state 63. There's also, this is not this date, but there's a clip planchet coin here. You can see it sort of at 2:30 or 3 o'clock. This was mint state 64, sold for $260. Though the 1946S was probably slightly rarer, just off of mintage figures. And then this is not this is just another commemorative silver half dollar, obviously, but this is a partial collar strike. You could also look for that. Wasn't quite out of the collar fully, where it would be broad struck or off center, but you can see how sort of there's like a rim on top where the rim looks almost doubled. The value doesn't really matter that much, but just something to point out. But yeah, a really great piece of American numismatic history. He was the first Black American to be featured on a U.S. coin, so that was also significant. And again, there's a fair amount of them made, so it's quite attainable for most collectors. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like the video, comment, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. And I also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and some other social media platforms. You can also go to my main channel website, treasuretownYT.com, to learn more about the channel and sort of stay in contact. I also will eventually host all of these videos on coinsmetalscards.com, which will be both news, marketplace, and coin information. I do have the goal of eventually getting pretty much every US coin, date, mint mark, denomination on the channel with a similar video to the one that you just watched, and that will likely all be hosted there. And then I also have treasuretowncoins.com, which is sort of my coin dealing wing, coin dealing only entity that is a little bit less focused on content production. So thank you so much, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my other videos. I also have videos that are not just the date, mint mark, denomination recap in this format, so you can check some of those out, and I'll have fun seeing you there.